Rachel. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hey Jess, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited. To kick it off, do you want to share when did you first hear about the carnivore diet, lion diet, just a meat-based diet?
So the first time I heard about the lion diet was probably 4 years ago, and then I really started to look into it about 2 years ago.
What health issues did this way of eating help you resolve?
So this way of eating has really helped me as I've been recovering from really severe chronic illness. So some conditions that I was diagnosed with were Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, Chiari malformation, dysautonomia or POTS, gastroparesis, I guess celiac disease, chronic Lyme disease. I don't know, the list kind of goes on, but those are some of the main ones.
Wow, that's incredible. And how strict did you have to be to help get the results that you have now?
I started off with a pretty strict carnivore diet. So this was about a year and a half ago, I guess coming up on 2 years now. And I did that for a couple months. And then I went into a more strict lion diet, just the beef, salt, and water. I did that for probably close to 8 months. And then I started to add in some things like raw dairy and some chicken and pork and that sort of thing, and wild caught salmon as well. And I actually did better with that. So it's just interesting. I think like sometimes there's a notion like the stricter the better, but for me it hasn't been that way at all.
Did you have any backlash from your friends or family when you first announced that you were going to try this?
Thankfully, I really didn't. I was in a really difficult place when I started the carnivore diet. I was mostly bedbound at the time, and I actually like wasn't even able to cook my own meals. And so I was really just desperate and willing to try anything. And my family was pretty supportive of it. And especially like once I started to see results like a few months in, then that was really when they were like just happy for me. And so I know it's not the case for everyone, but thankfully my friends and family have been overall pretty supportive.
Did you have a difficult transition in the beginning?
Yes, it was pretty difficult for me in the beginning, especially like the first month. I was kind of struggling with like low blood sugars. I mean, I think a lot of times, like when you make a drastic change, like there can just be some, your body just isn't used to it. And it can take some time for your body to adjust and for you to start to see benefits. And so I was like having kind of like dizzy spells from it and just like overall worsens of symptoms because I already kind of had obviously like lots of symptoms going on before I started. And but it wasn't like something I couldn't handle, I guess.
And are you still carnivore today?
So I'm not strict carnivore. I guess I would call myself more of like animal based, but even then I'm more just like eating to nourish my body. So I prioritize animal based foods. I prioritize my animal fat and protein, and then I'll add in some things like local fruits or even like properly prepared grains. I've been doing pretty well with some of those. And so I would say I'm probably still like mostly animal based. I'm eating like a lot of meat and eggs and stuff like that every day, but I do have little bits of other foods now.
And this is not on the list, but I want to ask you, did you ever think when you started the lion diet or carnivore that you would be able to start incorporating these foods and not have reactions and stuff?
That's a good question. I didn't really know what to think because I kind of thought I was crazy, like to try, which I think a lot of people go through that, I'm sure you probably did as well. But so I don't know that I really thought that through very much. I think I kind of started to like want carnivore to be my long-term diet and the best solution. And I kind of like got a little bit attached to the carnivore diet. Now I'm just much more focused on like how can I optimize my health and how can I properly nourish my body, and I don't really care what diet you want to call how I'm eating, but if that makes sense. And so yeah, I didn't expect to, I think for a while there I was just like, okay, I'll just continue like eating this way, and I really wanted it to be my long-term diet, but I got to a point where it didn't feel right for me to be strict carnivore anymore, even though I'm still really passionate about animal-based eating and animal-based food. It just felt like the right time to try and add in other things, and it's been going pretty well.
That seems like the natural progression for a lot of people. So I love that. So what does a typical day of eating look like for you now?
Yeah, so I would say I probably eat like anywhere in between 1 pound and 1.5 pounds of meats and or eggs combined. And then I'd say a little bit of fresh fruit. And I sometimes will have like organic rice cooked in bone broth, or like boiled organic potatoes, and just like cook them in butter afterwards. And I always make sure to eat the animal protein and fat first before adding in any carbs, to make sure to like stabilize blood sugar. And that has been going really well. I typically do 2 meals a day, and I'm not strict with it though. I just kind of go with whatever I feel like. And lately I've been eating first thing in the morning, and then just like usually mid to late afternoon I'll have another meal. But I'm not like rigid with any of those things. Sometimes I'll have 3 meals, just depends.
So would you ultimately recommend this to someone? And if you would, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, definitely. I think overall, like especially animal-based eating, I would recommend to anyone to at least try it, especially if you're in a really hard situation with your health. It's helped a lot of people, and sometimes the transition can be tough, but for me it was really worth it, and for a lot of people it has been as well. And I think overall, like what you eat is so important for your health. And so just eliminating processed foods, seed oils, and focusing on animal foods and meat is going to improve health a lot for most people.
Now, where can people go to follow you, to find you, to watch your YouTube videos? Where can people go?
I go by Ribeye Rach, and on Instagram I'm just at Ribeye Rach, and YouTube as well at Ribeye Rach.
Perfect. Well, thank you again for joining me, and I hope you have a great day.
Thanks so much, Jess. You too.